Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Uncut with Colby and Andrew. Today we're on episode 11, and we have a very exciting guest, Kimié Miner, a Grammy-nominated singer-songwriter and producer from Hawaii.
Yep, and she's won multiple Nahoku Hano Hano awards. She started her own creative agency called Haku Collective a few years ago, and she has 3 young kids. I don't know how she does it. She had 3 under 3, which is I can't even imagine.
And this episode was so inspirational too because she shares her life experiences and everything that she's learned from it and her mindset and how she really set her intentions at a young, part of her career.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She had challenges like everybody else, but she said, don't let your fear outweigh your passion.
Kimié, thank you so much for being here with us.
Yeah, thank you so much. We're excited because you're our first musical guest and first Big Island, from the Big Island guest.
Yes.
Represent.
In the house.
Yes.
In the hale.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
I know you have so much going on, but we just wanted to talk story about your whole journey.
It was a journey. It really was a journey. It still is.
Yeah. So how did your music career start?
Passion. I had a passion for music from when I was little. I started kind of writing and playing ukulele first. Really deep songs. No, just kidding. They were
Yeah.
You're my best friend. And then when I went to Kimié as a boarder, Kapalama campus, I took my dad's nylon string guitar, started getting more into my feels and kind of like diary style writing where I would take pages from my diary and figure out melodies to it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
But I was really shy. So I made a little CD for my friends, gave it to them, and went off to college. And while I was there, I met a reggae singer, Barrington Levy, and he asked me on the spot at his show, after the show, backstage, if I would sing for him. And I was so shy. I would never sing for anybody. And one of my best friends was there do it.
Hyping you on. Yeah. You always need that friend. Yeah.
Yep. And so I did it. And then he invited me to come on tour with him. And so I was 19. I went on tour with Barrington Levy on the West Coast of California and just the West Coast of America. And that was kind of where I got sucked into the whole thing. I loved being on stage. My passion was greater than my fear, I always say. So that's
awesome.
really what kind of drove me to get up there with my dad's nylon string guitar. Still had that one. And then finally Barrington was like, let me get you a guitar that plugs in for stage. I'm like, okay. So that was really where it all started for me.
How did you even make that connection? Were you did you know him or know somebody who knew him?
Yeah, it was his neighbor. Was my friend, his neighbor in Jamaica. I became friends with him. I was in the reggae scene, so going to all the concerts and, just he was one of the merchandisers. I had a booth at every show. His name was Balewa. And so he introduced me to Barrington and said, this girl sings, And then that's how it all started.
So sick.
Wow.
Yeah. Everything happens for a reason.
I know.
I
love those,
really believe that.
Yeah, I love those stories where it's the right place, right time, just magic happens right there.
Yeah, I think it's about intention. I never knew this back then, but I really had a strong intention for myself. And so I think when you align your intention with what you would intend to do, then the universe rises up to meet you where you are.
That's
I believe
awesome.
that.
I love that. I truly believe that as well.
Did you picture yourself on a stage, singing on a stage, you
from
knew that
when I
was
was little? Yes.
And it derives from that passion that you have.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love those stories.
You manifested it and it
You
happened.
did.
It's happening.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so that was so you were going to college in San Diego?
Yep, in 2003 and 2004. Then I moved to Jamaica and I was recording and doing stuff there, which was crazy, so interesting because it's a different island culture than we are used to. They're very boastful and loud and proud and the opposite of how I was raised in Hawaii, very ha'a and humble and quiet. No, they're everybody listen to my song. Everyone's a star. Everyone's a star.
Yeah.
That's cool to be able to experience that as well, though. And like,
oh
so
yeah,
how long
it was
were you there
really
for?
cool for me to get me out of my comfort zone. I was there for about 5 months or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Were you recording an album there?
I was recording with Barrington, and I recorded at Shaggy's studio in Kingston, Jamaica.
Whoa, that's
Sick.
crazy.
I recorded with Sly and Robbie. These are all like idols that I looked up to in the
Right.
reggae world. And so I was 19. It was really exciting for me. I wrote, I don't know, like 30 songs while I was there. I lived up in the country, in Clarendon, which is like 4 hours from the nearest airport. You know, it's really far. But I noticed that was my personality. Independence and just kind of like going for it. And actually my name Kimie means a branch of oneself. It's a Japanese name actually, and a branch of oneself, which is like independence. And I've really always kind of carried that.
Nice.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Oh, that's awesome. So did your songwriting, like change while you're in Jamaica as well? You were writing songs out there, and, like, through your life experiences.
Yeah, I mean, I learned patois, because they would be like, "Wow, I'm like a dirty boy," like you say things like that. I'm like, what? Huh? And so I kind of learned some things. And so I kind of included that in some of my songs. And actually, a song that I wrote with Imua back in high school called "Make Me Say," I added in some of this patois. And we recorded it when I came back from Jamaica. And we didn't release it until like 7 or like many years later.
Right.
But it was one of my first singles all these years later.
Yeah. So you've known Imua from
High
Kimié
school.
Miner?
Yep. We went to high school together.
Are you guys classmates?
He's 1 year older than me.
Because you also went to school with Anuhea, right?
Yeah. And JP from The Green. And
Oh my gosh.
actually a lot of musicians.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
How exciting. Okay, so you went to Jamaica and then you came back home and then is that when you like recorded your first album?
Well, so it was like this high of, yay, oh my gosh, all these amazing opportunities. And I was hit up from a few different like labels and things. What I did was I started just recording my own music on my GarageBand. And I was actually living in Hong Kong at the time. And I was sharing my music on MySpace.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I would be like, friends, like, check this out. And then they would share it on their pages. And I had over 1 million views, or not views, it was hits, I guess,
like
back then.
listens.
Because everyone was putting it on their page. And I was the #1 unsigned artist on MySpace in Hawaii during that time. That was in 2005. And I just had no guidance. I didn't know what to do with all of these opportunities. I didn't know who to trust. And so it actually kind of was, I don't even know. I felt jaded. Like, I just felt like, okay, this person said this, but like, are they going to come through with it? And then I was kind of taken advantage by a few different people. And honestly, a lot of it was because I didn't understand the business. And so I kind of like, it threw me for a loop, and I just decided to not do anything for a while. And I was just traveling and still writing songs. But every time I thought of doing the music business, I was kind of turned off. Like, I feel like people are going to take advantage of me in the business.
Yeah,
that's how it felt.
That was a different scene too, because back then, I mean, there was MySpace, but there wasn't like Instagram where you could just like post your stuff and like hope the right people sees it. It's like, I guess there was YouTube, but I mean,
everything was very like? Not the way it is today,
right?
Oh, yeah,
it was very small. It wasn't being used the same way it is today. It didn't have the same reach. MySpace was the biggest thing back then. That was the only thing. And yeah, I didn't know what to do, honestly. And I felt like I needed some guidance. I needed people I could trust. I needed mentors. I did have a couple. Fiji, he had mentored me a bit, and just he had also been through his own challenges and experiences in the music business. So he told me that the music business has nothing to do with music and everything to do with rights. So I always remembered that. He's like, you need to own your rights. Like, don't just give away your rights. After I already gave them away, I was like, darn it, I wish you told me that sooner. So my first little project that I did myself, I kind of had to just wash that because I signed over all my publishing, all my rights to someone else.
Oh, shoot. That's a hard lesson to learn.
It was. I was so heartbroken. That's why I was jaded. That's why I was like, I quit.
Yeah.
But
so
my passion was still there. I could not stop myself. And I had talked to another mentor of mine, and he said, Kimie, just write more songs. It's okay. Let those go and write more songs. You have nothing else to say? Are you done? Is that all you have to say? And I'm like, no. So then I just did Make Me Say, and I started going on the journey of like, okay, there's so many other songs I can write and sing. And I did, and I'm still doing.
You are.
Did you try anything new during that little phase of your life, or like were you like
I love cooking, so I was cooking like every day. That's a big thing for me is food. So I was doing that. I was a nanny. So I was watching kids because I love kids.
Wait, putting them to sleep. You were in Hong Kong?
I moved back. So I moved back from Hong Kong, and I was in Kona.
Oh, nice.
And I was cooking and nannying, and I worked for I was a executive client concierge, so I worked for a private jet company.
Oh, sick.
Oh, that's fun.
Bringing in planes of famous people and rich people, and that was really fun because it showed me the life I wanted. I was like, ooh, I would love private to have this. Yes. Yeah. And so I think that was all part of God's plan, you know. It's like, here, look at these are the things that you love. Let me expose you to all these things. But yeah, my passion was still there, and I couldn't escape music. So I went back to writing and recording. And I think the turning point for me was I stopped looking for someone else to make my dreams come true, and I decided to do it myself.
Yes, girl. I love that.
I love that.
I remember the first time I saw you was our friend Killy Grace. He did a music video. I don't know what year this was, but then and I don't know if music videos weren't really like local music videos.
Especially local music videos, like the quality and everything.
Yeah, and then we were good friends with Kimie, and I was like, who is this? And after that, I like just kept seeing you everywhere. I'm like, oh my gosh, look at this girl. She's so talented. She's from the Big Island, yes.
Yeah, I love Killy, and I love collaborating with other creators, you know, and I just loved his perspective on things, you know, like on the way he chose to film it. And there were all these birds, like he had birds there at his house when he filmed me. So the whole time I'm singing, you hear the birds. But I love that. My last name is Miner, and so I call my fans Miner Birds. And so it was like the perfect thing with all the birds, and I was just there, and it was a vibe, you know. And I think he really helped to create that that's why I love collaborating, because I love to create a vibe, and it's always better when you're with someone else doing it together.
Yeah. So what was your journey? So you went on to like create a bunch of music, win a bunch of awards. What has been like that whole journey? And I mean, this has been like over a decade.
Yeah, it was not like overnight. It was definitely a 10-year process for me, and it was a lot of a mindset issue and getting inside of my own head. And also, like, as an artist, we think this is my baby, and like this is mine. Like, don't touch my thing, you know? And I had to really let go of that and understand the value of collaborating, and also that it's not a baby. It's just a beautiful treasure. It's a piece of jewelry. It's an ornament. It represents this time right now. So when I create a song now, I think because I have so many children, I'm like, okay, I'm done. Have that, you know, like you kind of, before I would just overthink it, overwork it, overprocess everything to the point where it's like, is this even, by the time I'm done, I'm already someone else. So I learned how to just like really own the art for what it is in that moment, as a treasure, an ornament, a piece of jewelry that I get to wear for that time, until I'm ready to create another thing, you know. And I didn't hold it so close to me anymore. It still matters a lot to me, and I put a lot into the process, but I don't overthink it, and I let it be what it is.
That's such good advice, because I mean, a lot of like, especially creatives, you know, like you get sucked into this like, you know, idea of like having the perfect thing, and you keep changing it and fixing it, and it's like I
mean, how many of us do that?
Exactly. And everyone.
But like now looking back at our work, I'm just like, oh, what was I thinking? Like,
why did I do that?
That represented my growth. Like what I had to go through back then, and like now look at my work now.
And I think that's important even for self-image and everything. It's like, I'm a mom of 3, and my body is not the same that it was before them. So I used to have a really hard time. Like, I'm just not even going to buy a suit till I'm ready. You know, like that was my mentality. And now I'm like, but then I won't get in the ocean. Like, how does this work? So I've really come to just be like, this is my body right now. This is me right now after 3 kids.
I love that.
I'll be someone else in a year. I'll be someone else tomorrow. Like, this is just who I am today. And just really owning who I am today. You know, I think that's a good lesson for us all. It's like, just be who you are today and be happy.
Doesn't like being a mom really help you with that though? Yeah. Because you're always like seeing things through their eyes, and then like you're perfect in their eyes, you know? You're just like all they need, and you're like everything that they need. And so it's like, wow, okay, maybe I should like see myself the way they see me.
Yeah, through the child's eyes. Yeah. And for me, it's more like I just don't have time anymore because they take up so much time, and that helps me to get over stuff. Like, okay, well, this little time, this period of time that I have right now is a luxury. What am I going to do with it? Okay, let me create this thing. Okay, that's good.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
Yeah, that's how I have to look at things.
So was it through like mentors, or like how did you like, you know, start getting into this mindset, you know, and like working on those routines and all that?
I'm heavy into podcasts and books. Actually, one of the books I read that like changed my mindset was Big Magic. I love that book, and she talks about that, about how our art is not a baby. It's just an ornament, you know, it's just a treasure for the time. But she really helped me to see that. And I mean, there's so many other books, but that's the one that comes to mind right now. But yeah, those kinds of things, when I get to hear other people's, I'm kind of geeky. Like, I like to learn and listen to other people's mindsets.
Oh,
and
totally.
Things like that.
Yeah,
we love
like,
that too. That's why
exactly.
we started this. And like, we are total podcast people.
Yeah.
Like,
we listen to it, and you know, for the longest time we're like, oh, you know, we love talking to people, we love hanging out with people, and we're filmmakers, so we love to share stories. But you know, with clients and like with work and all that, you need to like find the sound bites and everything. So it's tough because you don't get to share the whole story. And then we listen to all these podcasts, and we're like, wait, why don't we just do a podcast? You know, just talk to someone and like.
I love that idea. I really love that idea. Because, even so many times I have to filter and edit myself.
Exactly.
Right? So it's like, it's nice to just tell the story.
Uncut.
Uncut. I like that.
Yeah, and then it makes people like really feel, I feel like connection just goes a long way. You know, like people just want to connect. And like we've interviewed like all kinds of people, but like when you get to just like have a conversation, just like talk story, it's like, oh, they battle the same things that I do. They're like a normal person just like I am, and they've gone through challenges and struggles just like I do, you know. And it's like gives
like your
people
story
hope
of like, you know, feeling jaded by the industry and like not almost like leaving, but you know, your passion and whatnot. So it's like just hearing the fear. Yeah, exactly, your passion. I love that. That's gonna be the soundbite. Social media right there. So you know, you went on and you won a bunch of awards. And so how was that? You know,
after a lot of hard work, it didn't happen overnight. Yes, it didn't happen overnight. I lost a lot of awards before I won any awards, so that's important to say.
You kept working towards your passion and your goals.
Yeah, and it wasn't for the awards at all. It was just doing what I was doing, and I think of important thing or mentality that I have is just like how those mentors gave to me. I wanted to mentor and give to others, other artists in the industry. So it started with just my friends, and then I started a whole company called Haku Collective, where we're kind of like just an agency for artists. We're by artists for artists, and we just fill this space where we're trying to figure things out, because I'm trying to figure things out still. But every time I learn something, I want to share it. And so this provides that opportunity and resources to other artists to share kind of everything we've been learning about this music industry.
Yeah, and you were saying that too, like, you know, you wish you had that guidance, you know, when you're younger in your music career and whatnot. So it's like you being able to provide that, and you know, so many people as well, and like it's like uplifting the entire music industry from, you know, Hawaii and all that too. That's awesome.
Yep, because what blesses one blesses all. I really believe that. So whatever I'm doing for others, it's gonna bless all of us in this community, in Hawaii, in the world. You know, like if you just look from the micro to the macro level, it's like it's really important that we take care of each other.
Yeah. How has that like change your perspective on things when you become the mentor?
I'm both, like, so I'm still a mentee too, but I love being a mentor. Like I said, I was a nanny, and even from when I was in 4th or 5th grade, I was a junior counselor to like younger students. So I've always sort of had that motherly leadership kind of a role. I think my name again, and then also I'm a Cancer, so I think I have all of these things built in me. But it brings me joy. I like it. I like to give and to help others like that.
Have you had like one person that maybe stands out to you that you really impacted their journey, or maybe really impacted you that you've gotten to mentor?
Both. I mean, yeah, I can think both ways, but Kalani Pe'a is a good example because his husband and I are childhood friends. We've been friends for a long time, and when he decided he wanted to put out an album, record an album, I literally would have 4-hour conversations with Alan, walking him through how everything works. He would take notes and be like, okay, so what about this? And we'd have these long conversations. And then I got them set up at the Recording Academy, and they just helped walk them through their whole journey. I was there when he won his first Grammy. So to me, that's the perfect example of like what I intended with Haku Collective and seeing it in fruition, you know, actually happening.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And I mean, we were just there supporting. They did all the hard work. And that's a mindset thing. And that's like those who, you know, the universe will rise up to meet them where they are once they have their right intentions. And they intended to do all the things they did.
Right.
And so I was just happy to be a support for them.
But that support that you provided is so powerful too. Like just even feeling like they're not alone, or just like connecting them with the right people and places. Like that's so powerful. So you should definitely feel a part of that journey.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. We do.
Yeah.
I do. They know.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so you started that like 6 years ago?
Yep, it's been 6 years.
Nice.
Since I started Haku Collective.
How has like the mission, you know, evolved since?
Yeah. So our mission is to build and sustain a thriving network of creatives telling the most authentic stories of Hawaii. And I said creatives because we are all storytellers, but like we're not just musicians, you know, like we're doing so many other things as well. So it was just important that we were telling authentic stories and that we're helping them to thrive because we want this to be sustainable, right? So that was sort of my intention of that. And we started off as like, actually the year I started the company, we started our pro bono programming. So we started these feeder programs for up and coming artists. And I really believe that the strength of a song starts with the songwriting, you know, like, so I started this thing called Mele Craft Boot Camp, and it's free for kids between 12 and 23, and they're up and coming artists or just even like poets, like whatever, just creatives.
Any creatives.
And so we get them all in a room. We're having one coming up soon, and they all get together and they write together. And then we have artist mentors that come in. So we've had Henry Kapono, Paula Funga, Imua Garza, Leslie Ludiazo, Ashley Lilinoy, and me. And we sit with them and we go, okay, here's your word. Let's write a song about this word. And we teach them how to songwrite together.
So that's amazing.
So
yeah, and they're all like in their own groups, and it's so cool to see how fast and good they can write together.
Yeah.
And they're like, I can't write a song when they're alone. I'm like, but look what you just did together.
Yeah, it's crazy because it's like sometimes a lot of creators, they don't see that in themselves, and it just takes like something like your program to like expose that, and that's
then
amazing.
They leave confident. They're like, oh my god, I wrote 3 songs.
Yeah, I did that.
I didn't write one song. I wrote 3 songs today, you know.
And you're exposing to like collaboration and everything.
And that's what I want. And now it's been 6 years, and the kids that were in the very first year, like one of the girls was 14, Tiara Gomes. She's now 19, and she just released a music video and a single, and she's out gigging with some of the other guys from the thing. Yeah.
Oh my
gosh,
like a few of them.
So Jonah, who's Joby, like there's so
Full
many
circle, like,
artists who are now out in the scene and doing it, and I'm still there mentoring them or helping them find grants or figure out ways to like make the most, you know, and guide them, because I wish I had that when I was young.
That's so awesome. How do people like apply or be a part of it if
so they can go. We have on our website. We have it at hakuhawaii.com. There's a mentorship thing where they can like put their information in, and then I just email them when we have events coming up and stuff like that. And we have a few different programs. So it started with the songwriting one, and now we're doing other things as well.
Oh, that's so cool.
That's awesome. It's, you know, it's always good to hear when, like, you know, people create things. I think especially in Hawaii, you know, like people don't have those opportunities, and for you to create like programs and, you know, like you said, like the feeder programs and whatnot, to create those opportunities, that's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. And there are bigger programs like songwriting festivals, right? Like the Big Island Songwriting Festival. So this program was supposed to be a feeder program for that. So so the next step is that. And then Creative Labs with the Creative Industry Division, they do that. And so there are other things out there. And so our point is not to create new things. It's like, we'll create something here that can work with everything else that's going on in the community, you know, so that we can all collaborate.
That's exciting, because there are resources out there, but a lot of people wouldn't even know where to go. So just that fact that you're connecting the dots, that's so awesome. I love that. Yeah. How has things changed now that you've become a mama? You have three little ones, not in school yet. Oh, in preschool.
One is in preschool.
Yeah.
I just don't have the luxury of time anymore. So I have to really prioritize. And I mean, I'm scheduling a year out. Like, that's where I'm at. I'm an artist, remember? So I never did any of that stuff. And I have to schedule writing sessions and everything. Even my creative blocks are scheduled.
You have to.
I have to.
Time block everything in your calendar. And
it's harder for artists, I feel like, because then prior to like having responsibilities, it's like, it'll just inspire me when it inspires me. It's just
when
like,
the time comes, when I'm in the zone, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very true. But yeah, becoming a mom, you're like, oh, I don't have that luxury anymore.
Yeah. Well, you wrote the album, or you produced the album, Hawaiian Lullaby.
Yeah.
And you had 2 babies at that time?
Yep. I was pregnant.
Oh, wow.
With my second
baby.
So I had my first baby, and I would sing You Are My Sunshine. I wanted the Olelo Hawaii, the Hawaiian. So I worked with a friend, and we made that song. And then from there, I'm like, wait, we need a whole album. Yeah. And I just couldn't find it online. You know, I was Googling, searching, and I couldn't find like a Hawaiian Lullaby sort of album that would teach my babies Hawaiian language too. And me, teach me too. So I started producing and creating that while I was pregnant with my second child. And I put the album out in May, and I had him in June. Yeah, it was fun.
We have that album on repeat at our house still. Like, they still sing it on the way to school and stuff like that, because it's like so, it gives me goosebumps, the way that all the songs came together. It's so beautiful.
Thank you.
Then
you
were nominated for a Grammy for that.
Yes, yeah, that was really cool. And it wasn't just by chance, you know, it was a lot of
you work
towards getting to that nomination, but it was well deserved, I think, and it really shined a light on 13 artists from Hawaii.
Wow.
Yeah, I was say, like, that was a big collaboration.
Yes, and I could have easily done my own Hawaiian Lullaby album, but my brain doesn't think like that. I'm like, how much cooler would it be if the Green sang this song, and if Josh Tatofi sang this song? I really believe in collaboration for the whole thing, for everything that we do, and that's really one of our pillars at Haku Collective. One of our main values is just collaboration and the power of that. So I knew it would be way bigger if we had all the artists involved, and you could have them all sing to your babies.
Yeah. It is so beautiful, and it's like one of those albums that would just be passed down for generations, you know? It's like, because it is really like the only one of its kind.
Yeah, there's a volume 2 coming.
Oh, now you got her all excited.
I know, my babies aren't babies anymore, but we'll still love them.
But they're not only for babies though, right? Like, the truth is, everyone enjoys it. So that's exciting, and that's the power of music. I love that.
And it's cool because, like, you went through a life experience, and you're doing it for your own baby, and then you looked it up, and it wasn't around, and you made it happen. You know, so you
created something out of nothing.
Yeah.
And you're working on another album.
Yep.
Can we talk about that?
Yeah. Okay. I for the past 2 years I've been songwriting I live in an art space building, so it's a bunch of artists in here.
Oh yeah, that one. Yep.
Yeah, Olaka Ilima, and so one of my neighbors, they're writers, so we were songwriting throughout the whole pandemic, and I have another friend in Nashville, and so we write on Zoom, and all of these songs were kind of just all the feelings and the way we were feeling in that time, and so I didn't want to rush it, but now I'm working on it. And I'm also looking at my heritage, because I don't know, I think it's something that happens when you have kids, where you're like, well, are you? Who am I? You know, you ask all these deep questions. So I started looking into my, my mo'okuauha, which is like my genealogy or my past. But not only my Hawaiian side, I wanted to look at my Portuguese side and all the other parts of me. And so that has been such a fun journey to find old photos. And I'm on ancestry.com looking things up and really discovering all parts of me and the people that made me who I am, you know? And so these songs are kind of written during the pandemic, but thinking about my past and knowing that like life is cyclical. And so I think this is the first time what I'm going through, no one has ever gone through. And then I researched my family. I'm like, oh, wow, this has happened before. And like, I found my great grandma who came on the boat over from Portugal to Hawaii. She couldn't read, she couldn't write, she didn't know English, she had all these kids, and she brought all of them over here except one 4-year-old. No. So I'm like, what does that mean? Like, how do you have a 4-year-old? That's Omea, that's my oldest daughter. And I don't know, I'm still researching that, but it turns out that her 4-year-old now, I have family there because that 4-year-old was still there.
Like set roots there.
So I have, so I'm going to go there soon to Portugal, and I'm going to meet my family, and I'm going to meet, you know, the family of this 4-year-old. So I thought that was pretty interesting to think about traveling and having kids, and you think it's so hard, and then you read about your ancestors like, oh, that seems harder.
It seems way harder. From Portugal to Hawaii. That's a long journey.
Like a lot of kids were dying on the boats over because it was like 4 months, 5 months, and
sicknesses and What about something that you learned from your Hawaiian side?
So my great grandma was the first female legislator in the state of Hawaii.
No way.
So that was cool. I found that I had leaders, very strong women on both sides of my family. And I started with the women because I'm a woman. So I kind of went down that route. But and I also found I have family from South Kona, and her name was Lahapa Keowai, and so I named my son after her. Keowai is his name, but it means he was born during the pandemic, and so I wanted something that meant peace and, just something to get him out of everything that we had been through. And so Keowai is the eternal waters, or another way to look at it is like the return of your ancestors, and so that's what his name means. It just has that strength. Too. And I found that name just through researching.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
I was doing another project, and they're saying like the greatest gift you can give to someone, or like the first gift you give, is their name.
Yes,
and,
I 100 million % believe that. Yeah. My first kid, I didn't name any of them in the hospital. Yeah. And I went all the way to the point where they're like, if you don't turn in this name, you're going to have to do all this paperwork. And I'm like, okay. But, I really believe that. I really believe in the power of a name. And you spend your life living up to that name. Well, Hawaiians,
it's like their first intention.
Yes,
it's the intention. You're living up to your name.
Yeah. I was named after my grandma, and then my daughter is named after my dad, whose name is Hayden Lee, and we named her Haley after my dad.
I love that.
I love family names, too. Because it's
me too.
Strong women in my family too, like lots of strong women.
And you can call on them. You know, when you say your child's name, you're calling on your ancestors, which I really love.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, my daughter's name is Omealani, but it was supposed to be Ka'omealani Hulilileihi Ukupuna, and I was like, that's so long. And then I was like, but we don't need all of it. And I wanted to start with Om because that's the universal sound, Om. And so I purposely just did the Om Mealani.
You could have added it to her middle name.
I know what it is, so it's fine to me. It's like the world doesn't need to know it. I know it.
And she's going to know it.
And it's reverberating in her name. And Om is just like, no matter what, when people say her name, they're calling on that sound.
Yeah.
Oh, that's deep. I love that.
Yeah, think about what you're gonna name your kids.
I know.
It'll be something important.
I know.
But even Joe can be important. It just depends on
who.
And that's why it's important that you let other people tell you the meaning of their kids' names and not try to guess. I think because you never know their intention of the name, so it's best to listen to them tell you, like you just told me, right, with Haley. So it's pretty cool.
That's true.
You guys are all writing songs you don't even know.
I know. We gotta sit down.
Names, they're little songs.
I
with
love
like
that.
deeper stories.
What is your process for like writing a song? Like, what's your creative process? I'm always interested to hear from creatives and artists, like what their creative process is.
Yeah, it's always different. Sometimes it's the melody. Sometimes I come up with words first. Like the song Bamboo, I was driving on the... I used to live in Hauula, so the northeast side, and I would see the waterfalls coming down the Ko'olau, and I would see bamboo forests on my left. And I was driving through, and I saw the bamboo, and I just thought, bam, bamboo, bam, bamboo. And I just kept saying that over and over. And then when I went I actually co-wrote this song with Isaac and one other guy, Jesse. And when we got together, I said, I want to write a song that has this line, bam, bamboo. And we literally wrote the whole song around that idea.
Oh, cool. So it just from different kinds of places of inspiration.
Yeah, and they're all super deep to me, like 7 layers deep. So when you hear the song, you're like, oh, cool. But actually, there's all kinds of, like in Hawaiian, we call that kauna, right? Or hidden meanings in there. And I just like to write like that. So you might not know everything that it's about, but sometimes I share the story and then people are like, oh. For instance, Bottom of a Rainbow, I say, stars like rockets on the sea. And that I wrote that in Makua Valley, and it was the first time I ever camped there on the west side. And I literally, the moon was rising, the sun was setting, and it was just like the most epic, like paradise I had ever experienced in that present moment. I was so present, and I sat on the beach. I watched the sunset, the moon came up, and I just watched stars shoot across the sky.
Oh, that just
and
gave me goosebumps.
The reflection of the stars looked like rockets on the sea. It was the craziest thing I had ever experienced, and like, I'm so lucky. I just felt really lucky.
Bottom of a rainbow.
Yeah, and I wrote that in that song.
And it's so cool because like pretty much like every song that you write is a different part of your life, and
it represents a part of my life.
Different values at the time, or experiences, and that's awesome.
Yeah, it's almost like a snapshot of like that moment in your life, and like whatever was going on in your personal life too. It's just like you have these like little snapshots of your whole life that when you tell the story, it's like it's so cool to be able to like peek into that part of your life that you're in.
Yes. And I finally kind of understood what songwriting meant to others when I started performing. And before that, I had no idea. It'd be a friend and they'd be crying and I'd be like, oh, cool. I touched you, your life. Nice. But when you're on stage and there's a lot of people singing or crying or feeling it, then it reminds me like, oh, it's so much bigger than just my feelings and what I'm going through, And that's why I say songwriting is the core of the song. It's all about what you're saying and how you make people feel.
Yeah, because that song could represent a completely separate moment in somebody else's life that will be like a monumental moment for them. Like,
so the way that I write now, I used to be way more specific when I was younger, but now the way that I write is so that I can tell more than just my story. So I'm very much more still specific, but more broad, just so I can include others who almost felt it, but then like, oh no, that's not me. I want everyone to feel it. So this new album is really looking through the lens of not just myself, but others too, as I'm choosing my words. It's still the way I feel. It's still the experiences I'm experiencing, but I'm trying to be broader with my words so that more people can feel it.
Yeah, this is like just through years of learning and evolving and nice. We're excited. When can people expect that, or when are you planning?
This summer.
Okay. Nice.
I don't know.
We want it now.
Do you have a name for it already? The album?
No, not really. Everything is coming together pretty fast. Like I'm in pre-production right now. I'm in the studio with Brad. He's the bass player for The Green. He's also their music director, but he and I have written songs and done other albums together. So it's been really fun to just kind of create and work through these songs and see where they're going to go production wise. And then next week I'm in the studio with Imua Garza and we're literally recording the album next week.
Cool. I would like to just be a fly on the wall during that time. Like it must be just I mean, long. I'm sure it's like long.
It's very long, and I'm sure people. Yeah. So my partner Maka, like he used to come in, and then he's like, "Okay, I don't know what you guys are doing.
Like,
like
you got it. Yeah,
I'll hear it when it's done, because it's a lot of like, okay, do that again, but this time go like this. We're producing the album and stuff, so it's a lot of geeky stuff, but it makes all the difference when you focus in on little things, even like the sound of a bell or whatever. The way you're strumming and the way you're singing, performance is important.
Yeah.
To get the message across once you have the song done.
How long did it take to produce a song? I mean, like once you get into the studio, like is it
couple days? Yeah. Couple or weeks. I mean, it depends how much you want to get in on it. So I kind of I give myself a total period of time, and then I go through and do the songs, like a collection of songs in that time. So we're bouncing around a lot. We'll have like a percussionist come in and do all the songs. Then we go through the next instrument. So it's not always just song by song by song.
I see.
Yeah, it's a collection.
Nice.
That's so cool.
Huge collaboration too.
You should document that. I mean, I don't know.
I do.
You do?
Yeah. But
it's so interesting.
Yeah, not like professionally, just like here's my camera.
But still, like people want to see that stuff,
Yeah, I do. I love watching documentaries and
exactly.
stuff. Yeah.
I think that's like a big thing too. It's like you see, the final product and whatnot, but it's like I think a lot of people are interested
in the messy middle.
Exactly. Yeah, like how this was created.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And it's not all beautiful. It is like long and grueling and and I have real life too, so I can't. Before I could be in the studio for like 12 hours. Right. Now it's like, okay, I got 4 hours today. I got 8 hours tomorrow. It's a lot of scheduling. Yeah.
What has been like one moment in your career? I know this is kind of like a big question, but like one moment in your career where you realize that your work has like really touched somebody.
What was the specific moment?
Yeah. Like maybe somebody
shared. Was it like
shared
a performance or like someone shared a story with you?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. There's so many moments. When I was first starting out, it was crazy. I put my song Good Vibes on MySpace and someone sent me a message and they got all my lyrics tattooed on their back.
No way.
A girl.
Whoa.
A girl put my Good Vibes lyric on her back. And I was like, whoa, like that's forever.
Yeah.
But I was like, wow, I really meant that much to her that she did that.
Yeah.
And other people have gotten tattoos. Like tattoos is probably like one of the things.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's on you forever. Yeah.
And then even like names, they'll name their children after songs and things. And yeah, those are some moments I can remember. I'm sure you've inspired
many Kimiés. Do they tell you too? Like
a couple, a couple people did, or they wanted to name them like their kids after my kids, and they're like, "What does it mean?" And I'll tell me what that means. Okay, that's a little bit creepy. Yeah, or like song lyrics. Yeah, it's cool. But like I think the moment that I started going on stage and seeing people singing the songs and stuff like that was really, whoa, like it took my breath away. It was like, wow, like just the simple act of someone singing along or crying or feeling the way that I felt when I wrote it. Like that's when I knew like, oh, this matters. This matters to more than just me. And even if it only matters to that one person, that's cool.
Yeah, that's huge.
That's cool.
Someone other, So I kind of like touched briefly on it about like, the industry and whatnot, but like what were some challenges, like going through this journey?
Being a female was a very big challenge for me in this male-dominated industry, and it's one of my kind of like platforms that I want to make sure my mentees or other females feel protected, they know how to protect themselves, have boundaries, know their value, like even payment wise, like all those kinds of things. It's just important as I'm mentoring females and women, girls, to remind them and kind of teach them about that, because it is hard to navigate that. And I was touring and traveling and, a lot of sketchy situations. So that was a big one for me. What else? Oh, being independent. I mean, that was the hugest thing, because I'm like, how do I pay for this? Okay, I got to go do a gig so that I can pay for this song, and that's how I saw things for a long time, was like job to job kind of thing, you know. To do that job, I got to do this job, and it's like, it's really not sustainable, and that's how a lot of artists are doing it. So that was a really big challenge, being independent, and just figuring things out.
An independent artist? So you were independent, and then you had, like, you were part of an agency, and then...
I never signed to an agency, but I did sign a deal with like a label.
That was like that first album.
Yeah, and I gave away all my rights and like a lot of, I just didn't know.
But that's so many like young artists, you know.
It
is. Like
the
opportunity is there, and you don't like, you know, you don't know better.
Yeah.
You're young and
Yeah,
and that was just not knowing how, just having no business savvy, not knowing nothing, you know, and not realizing the value of my music and myself.
Because you just wanted to create. You just wanted to sing, write songs.
Yeah, I think,
I also think being here, being isolated, being in Hawaii, that's why a lot of artists go to the mainland and do their thing there. And I did that too, but I just kept being called home. It was like a rubber band. I would go far, and then it just whipped me right back home. And I just stopped trying to fight it. I was like, I'm just not going to fight this anymore. Like, if there aren't opportunities here, I'll create them. You know, like, I can't keep going away to try to find opportunities. Sure, I'll travel, and like, there are opportunities there, but I want to create opportunities here. I want this place to be, and there are like-minded people
There's so many
who can
talented,
actually make opportunities happen here. So I just had to find those people.
Yeah.
Nice. And you're creating them.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So awesome.
What's like some advice you would give to like a young musician?
I think one of the main things is know who you are today. I think so many times people say find your authentic voice, and that is true, but it's going to change just as your experiences change, as your life changes. So just be okay with your voice and who you are today, and create for that moment, you know. And stop trying to chase who you want to be, which is exactly what I did for so long, that I never I missed all the opportunities to be who I was in that moment. So I think just be authentic to yourself in the moment and allow yourself to create in that moment, and then let it go and move forward. And then you can create a next moment in the next phase of who you are. You know what I mean? I think that's important.
That's amazing.
That's great advice for somebody who is like, especially in this industry, who's just like,
especially in this day and age,
it's hard
with social media and everything.
You're constantly being compared to somebody else, or you're comparing yourself to somebody else. So that's hard.
It's okay. It's going to happen. It's consumers. The bottom line is it's a product. You're creating a product that people are going to buy. Right. So you have to be okay with being compared to whoever it may be. Yeah. Just be okay with that. Oh, you're like the kind. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
You're going to buy it? Awesome. I don't care who you compare me to. If you like it, cool. I'm in, because that's really who I am. So I don't care how you see me. That's up to you, right? Like, that's the whole point. Is like, I'm just gonna be me, and if you like it, amazing. So I think that's important too, is like, just, it's okay to be compared. I used to be defensive before, like, no, I'm not like that, I'm like this, I'm my own person. Girl, who cares? Like, people are gonna say what they want to say behind your back anyways. So like, you have to have tough skin. You have to let things roll off your back. If you know who you are, it makes everything so much easier to take, you know? And also, you can't do it alone. So that was a lesson I had to learn. It was like, you have to get people you trust on your team, and then you have to trust them. You chose them. It's the same thing like when I was giving birth. I chose my doctor. I chose my doula. I chose this team. So when I had some crazy stuff happen, and they're like, well, you chose these people, right? Yes, I did. Okay, now you trust them. So that's an important part of this industry. In any industry, is like, you cannot do everything yourself. You will burn both ends, and the house will burn down. You can't, but you find, do the research, find the people you trust, then trust them to do their job, and let them do their jobs. That's very, very important.
That's such great advice for any industry in business. Like, if you want to get somewhere, you can't do it. You have to collaborate. You need a team, and you need to trust them, and then you let them do their job. You can always question and get answers and stuff, but at the end of the day, you have to trust
them.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just be, I'll just do it myself. No, you can't do that.
Yeah,
I know.
that's such
Always,
like a big thing.
yeah.
We talk about it like with other people too, but like business owners and you know like having that team and like being able to like trust them. Like that's such a huge. And once you figure that out, it's like
the growth is
Growth.
exponential
Yeah,
after
yeah,
that.
growth,
And like
yep.
every person is like looking back, I wish I did that sooner. And
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
100%.
grind so long and hard by myself.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
you kind of like
it's a
like
hard
touched upon it,
lesson.
but like what did you value before that you don't anymore? Like in that kind of like push.
Control,
Mhm.
100,000,000%.
Yeah.
I think having kids, you realize like, oh, I have no control. There's no
They're in
control.
control.
So yeah, control was big for me. Creative control, like everything. Control of the way people saw me. Just control.
Yeah.
And I think it's because I grew up in chaos. So I was like, nobody asked me anything. It was like, no, you're going here, you're doing this. Like, you're going to this school, that school. Like, I went to a lot of schools. My parents got divorced. All kinds of chaos. And so when I got older, I was like, I just want to control everything. And just recently, like only in the past few years, I had to let go because I had too many kids. I had too many things going on.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, if I don't let go of control, I'm going to drown. I'm going to like literally go under.
Yeah.
So I let go of control. I think that's probably the thing I cared the most about, honestly.
That's huge.
But how does it feel now?
Great.
Yeah.
Like my hair might be a little unruly or like, you know, there
No.
might be
Huge
little
weight off your
things out
shoulders.
of place. Like my nails. Oh, gosh. I haven't done my nails. But I'm like, what's more important? Your nails or the album? The album. Okay, great. Just let your nails be. So I like, yeah. Anyways, but it's things like that, right? Where I'm like, okay, everything's not going to be perfect, but I'm okay to let that go if it means my quality of life is better. If it means I have reserved energy at the end of the day for my family.
Yeah.
You know?
Different priorities and like
Yeah.
thinking bigger picture.
Yeah, I know. One of my best girlfriends told me one time, she was like, recently, she was like, I am just like setting the bar way low for myself right now in this season of life. And I'm like, I've never thought about it that way, but that's pretty smart. She's like, if we get out of the house and like go to the park, great. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have to do all these other things that I feel like I need to do or other people are telling me I should do. Or like, she's like, my bar is like way down here now.
I
Like,
call it the balls in the air. I have less balls in the air. I let
You're
all
not
the
juggling
balls
less
fall.
things.
I'm like, well, that's all falling, and I got these two that matter the most. You know, like
Yeah.
because as women and as moms, we tend to have 20 balls in the air at all times. Literally, I'm brushing my teeth and I was cleaning something. I'm like, why? Why can't I just clean my teeth? Why is this a thing? But I realized I'm like, just let go of some of the balls in the air. Like, okay, you're not gonna have fresh baked cookies. You're gonna go buy them from the store. Like, but that's okay because you're doing this other thing. Like, you're sitting and playing cars with your son instead. Like, so you know, I outsource the things that I don't want to do anymore, right? And then I reserve energy for the things I do want to do, and I get to decide.
that's beautiful.
That's huge. And once like an entrepreneur or like even like realizes that, like the growth, everything, you feel so much better. And
Yeah, because you have to value your time too, you know? Your time is valuable. Even if all you do all day is stay home with your kids, that is worth $1 million to your child.
Yes.
Yeah.
So don't devalue your time no matter what it is that you do.
Yeah.
I think it's
I
important
always tell
to value
people
your
like you
time.
can make money and whatnot and do all of that, but you can't make up time.
Nope.
It's the most
That's a
expensive
finite,
way to like do something.
Yeah.
It's with your time.
Yep.
Well, thank you for making time for
Yeah,
us.
thank you for making
Yeah,
time.
I'm so happy. This is filling my cup today.
Oh,
Nice.
good. I'm so happy to hear that.
And I'm happy to have you on to share your story with the other creatives and everyone out there. You know, like it's such an amazing story, and you had so much good stuff to say.
I know. You're such an inspiration and super real, which we really appreciate.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Like
it's way too
sometimes-
much work to be something else. You know,
Yeah.
unless you have
Yeah.
a lot of time for that.
Yeah,
which I don't.
No.
Yeah,
Unless you
just
value
gotta be real.
control. I think that was like why we did this too. Like, you know, a lot of people get stuck in like that analysis paralysis. Like, oh, we need to like make it perfect. And when I was like, you know what, let's just record in my office. You know, like let's just do whatever. You know, like let's just do it and
Otherwise
see how it
you
goes.
won't ever do it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's the
Yeah.
hardest part is
Exactly.
doing it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And it will happen. I mean, it's been a journey, but
Uh-huh.
like every episode's like getting
Yeah,
better.
yeah.
The graphics that we post
Oh,
are
you
like
should see like the first
guys.
episode.
the first. You're not. Luckily, we didn't bring you on for episode one.
We're like, what do we talk about?
I know. It's been so fun. But no, thank you so much. It's like such a treat to be able to sit down with you and just like pick your brain and talk story. And yeah, I think people really are inspired by like how we were saying, like watching the documentaries, like the behind the scenes stuff, because it's like this stuff isn't easy. And so if you're going through it, just also know that the journey is not so easy and perfect like
it's
as
not.
It seems.
But I definitely want to make sure to say this because I didn't really believe it, but you can dream super huge. You can, like, your vision for yourself should be huge. And I think if you do all the things that I was saying along the way of, like, just being who you are in this moment and, like, collaborating and whatever, make your vision huge. Like, I love Oprah. She talks about the trees, you know, her trees. And she's like, I just wanted, like, this many trees, and God said, dream bigger, honey. And now I got 30,000 trees in my backyard, right? She's trying to get trees in a backyard. That's all she wanted. And she only envisioned 10 trees. But I really believe that I know it's hard for us to see because we're isolated on an island, for those in Hawaii, or you feel like you have to go away or whatever it may be. But I think the goal is to just have big goals and dream big, and and it's all about intention. And when you have the right intentions, the universe will rise up and meet you where you are. It'll give you the things that you need. It'll connect you to the right people, whatever it is, you know.
Yeah. And it's important to surround yourself with people like you, or like people who do see the big picture, like bigger dreams. Even like, I mean, who knew like we would be able to do this podcast, but then we're like, oh yeah, or anything in our career, like anything in our career, be like, oh yeah, it'd be fun to do like, you know, like 10 weddings a year. And then somebody would be like, what if you did 100 weddings a year? You know, it's like, oh, I didn't even think that way. And then it takes people to be like, no, the world is big. Like
the world is so
you're big too.
Dream
you know,
big,
dream big.
Yeah.
I love that.
Thank you so much.
People can find you on Instagram. Where else? Is it hakuhawaii.com?
Yeah, Haku Hawaii or hakucollective.com, KimieMiner.com, Play Kimie, Haku Collective. We're on all the things. Yeah. Everything. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah.
Out in your neighborhoods. On the radio.
You are everywhere, and I love it.
Well, we're excited for your album. Everyone stay tuned for that.
Yep.
And we'll keep in touch and wait for that. Thank you so much.
Congratulations on all your success and all the success to come.
Mahalo. Thank you guys.
Thank you.